This book is Amory Lovin's roadmap on a journey to reinvent fire. If you're interested in such matters, I urge you to take a look at it. It's courageous beyond belief. I believe we need a similar roadmap to reinvent religion. Like energy, religion is on a collision course with doom. The big legacy religions, like the big legacy energy sources, are increasingly inefficient and destructive. The fledgling alternative religions, like ours, are under-inspired and underfunded. What we know is that the legacy approach to religion will not sustain itself. Many denominations are in swift decline. Not just progressive denominations who have been in swift decline for decades, but even the more conservative denominations, like the Southern Baptist Convention, are in swift decline. Unitarian Universalism as a whole is slowly losing its share of the faithful. The bottom line is that half of all the congregations in this country will close their doors for good in the next 40 years. There are 350,000 congregations in the U.S. today. If trends continue, and they will only accelerate, there will be 175,000. Unless we stem the tide, unless we reinvent religion, what remains for our children's grandchildren will be either withered remnants of what has gone before or ferocious fundamentalism. Like energy sources, congregations and religions that refuse to innovate are doomed to failure. What's going to work in the new religious era? No one knows for sure, but we know a few things that will be hallmarks of religious communities that thrive. One is theological diversity in the new religious era. Another is that forms of worship and forms of membership will need to be more open and more flexible. There will also be a greater emphasis on ritual and spiritual practice. Those will work. But the hallmark of religious communities that will thrive is that they will be open to innovation. Full disclosure, my goal is to become the Amory Lovins of religion. I have a book to write this summer. The manuscript is due on September 1, about the challenge of being religious in a secular age. The current title is The Necessity of Religion. But maybe the title should be Reinventing Religion. If religion as you and I experience it and believe in it is to survive, much less thrive, it will need to be reinvented. So why me, you ask? Why us? Why not me? Why not us? Our storied past as a congregation has brought us to this place where we have the chance to decide whether we will step up to the challenge of our day. We need to reinvent religion. And that will also mean reinventing All Souls. We've done that in the past from time to time. Baptismal font, the cross. The chalice came into use in Unitarian Universalism after the Second World War, where it became a symbol of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee's efforts to save people, Jews, from the Nazis. But more innovation awaits. Since I became senior minister 5 years ago, we've been engaged in a conversation about where we are going as a congregation. This will look familiar to some of you. Most of you won't be able to read it, but I will tell you briefly what's on it. This is our statement of strategic direction as a congregation. It makes 4 commitments. The first is that we will articulate our faith. Unitarian Universalism is in its adolescence. We've left home. The cross is down. But we haven't yet fully articulated who we are as a people of faith, what theological commitments we have in common that distinguish us from other communities of faith. We need to articulate our faith. We need to strengthen our community. The modern malaise is that we are alienated. Alienated from our best selves, alienated from the people around us, and from the sources of our sustenance in this wonderful universe we call home. Magnus Marinek, one of our coming-of-age youth a couple of weeks ago, reminded us that virtual relationships cannot substitute for real ones. All Souls commits itself to strengthening real relationships. We made a commitment to deepening our capacity for diversity. Whatever else the religious future holds, it holds diversity as a key commitment, all kinds of diversity. Theological diversity, ethnic diversity. The door of the sanctuary needs to be open wider in the future than it has been in the past. And our 4th commitment is to spreading our message. Some of us believe that Unitarian Universalism, and in particular All Souls, is the best kept secret in town. Too few people know, because we haven't articulated our faith and spread our message. So these are the core commitments that we have made as a congregation. And over the past 4 years, our Board of Trustees has been engaged in a conversation about how we are going to get there. That's their responsibility as our board, to take our commitments as a congregation and figure out how we are going to achieve them. Here's the hard truth. What got us here won't get us there. The board has come to the conclusion after a lot of study that if we are going to achieve our goals as a congregation, that we need to increase our capacity and commitment in all areas of our congregational life, including the capacity of our board. They've made a proposal to change how the board gets elected. The change is relatively simple. It directs the nominating committee to propose 3 people to fill the 3 open slots on the board each year, rather than 5 people. Why? A couple of reasons. One is that it's often difficult to find 5 people who are willing to run, particularly knowing that 2 of them will lose. Some years the nominating committee has had to ask more than 24 people to run in order to come up with a list of 5. The election itself often looks a lot like a popularity contest. People vote for people they know. There are a lot of people in this congregation who would bolster our board who aren't well known. This new proposal directs the nominating committee to find the 3 best people in the congregation to complement the 6 remaining board members, and then shifts the responsibility to the congregation as a whole to assess whether they've done a good job. And if the answer is no, the fix is a simple one. A petition, 25 signatures by members, and a name gets added to the slate, to the ballot. One could do that one Sunday at coffee hour.